I told my brother-in-law to stop turning everything into a competition, and it finally blew up at a funeral. The past year had been brutal for my wife, Lena. Her dad had been sick for a long time, the slow kind of illness that drains everyone before it ends. Hospital visits, late-night phone calls, whispered conversations in hallways. Lena was his primary support. She managed medications, appointments, insurance paperwork, all while still working full-time. By the end, she looked like a different person, thinner, quieter, constantly exhausted. Her brother Mark lived 40 minutes away. He showed up occasionally, usually late, usually with excuses. When their dad passed, Lena was wrecked. I took time off work, handled logistics, made calls, picked up relatives from the airport. Mark suddenly became very visible. He posted long Facebook statuses about losing my hero. He talked loudly about how hard this was on him. He corrected people when they said Lena had been the one taking care of their dad. We all helped, he'd say, smiling. At the wake, Mark gave a speech no one asked for. He talked about fishing trips from 20 years ago, about how his dad raised him to be strong. He didn't mention the last 2 years. Didn't mention Lena at all. She stood beside me gripping a tissue so tightly her hands were shaking. After that, it didn't stop. At the will reading, Mark made comments about how he was surprised Lena got the house since he was the oldest. At family dinners, he'd bring up how he was handling things better than Lena, how grief looked different for everyone. When Lena went quiet, he called it withdrawing. When she cried, he called it dramatic. 3 weeks after the funeral, we hosted a small family dinner. Nothing fancy, just food, candles, a low-key attempt at normal. Lena had cooked her dad's favorite dish. She barely touched her own plate. Mark arrived late as usual and immediately started talking about how he'd already cleared out his dad's workshop. Didn't want it just sitting there, you know, he said. Lena froze. She hadn't even gone back into that room yet. Then he added, I think staying busy is healthier than wallowing. That was it. I said his name once, calmly. He ignored me and kept talking about how he was already moving forward. I stood up. You need to stop, I said. The table went quiet. Mark laughed. Stop what? Stop turning grief into a competition, I said. Stop acting like you're doing this better than everyone else. He scoffed. I'm just being honest. No, I said. You're being cruel. He looked genuinely offended. I lost my father too. And Lena lost hers while she was wiping his mouth, managing his meds, and sleeping on hospital chairs. I said. You lost him from a distance, and now you're using it for attention. Lena stared at the table. Her mom's eyes filled with tears. Mark stood up. Wow, so now I'm the bad guy? You've been the bad guy, I said. You took credit for work you didn't do. You erased your sister from her own story, and now you're criticizing how she grieves while benefiting from everything she handled. That's not fair, he snapped. You went fishing while she was signing DNR forms, I said. You were too busy while she held his hand when he couldn't speak anymore. So don't sit here and tell her to move on faster because it makes you uncomfortable. Mark grabbed his jacket. Unbelievable. No, I said. What's unbelievable is how long everyone's let this slide. He left without saying goodbye. The house stayed quiet for a long time after that. Lena didn't cry right away. She just leaned into me like her bones had finally given up. Her mom eventually whispered, someone needed to say it. That night, Lena told me it was the first time since her dad died that she felt defended. And honestly, that was worth every ounce of fallout.